A lot of drama going on the internet. Somebody earlier here, I don't know where he is. Somebody said, "Oh, this is a new grift. Manosphere talked about women lying. We've talked about women lying plenty of times. There's just new women lying about other men, so we're going to talk about that. It's not a new grift. It's something that's happened to Donald Trump. It's something that happens to the average man. It's something that happened to Cristiano Ronaldo, who was accused of rape, Neymar as well. And guys, if you guys can please like this video, share it. We have to get back into the algorithm because we were just like at 100 viewers and now we're down to 41. So hopefully we'll be able to get those viewers back. And JC, I just saw here, it's what happened to Kavanaugh. Unfortunately, that did happen to Kavanaugh too. I think for me, that was a big turning point in my political, I don't know, what do you say, changing my mind. Because during the Kavanaugh, I heard all of the Kavanaugh hearings, from start to finish, the entire hearing. And I didn't even have my Wake Up with Linda account. I didn't have anything. So, for me, it was kind of like a turning point because I'm like, I can't believe that these women are blatantly lying to our faces about Kavanaugh. And I remember back then it was something about beer, he was he drank beer. It was just really shitty. I'm gonna let Bella come in now, but before I do that, I just want to briefly talk, and I'll have it come in now, about House Inhabit and Candace Owens, right? So House Inhabit, for those of you who don't know, she is a Substack writer. She's very popular with 1.3 million followers on Instagram. And she started off as writing celebrity gossip. She's like a mommy blogger, huge liberal, literally went to DC to protest the Trump administration in 2016. She obviously didn't vote for Trump in 2020. So she is a new MAGA supporter, if you would say, or Trump supporter. And she came in through Kennedy. So she was one of the moms that part of the MAHA movement, Make America Healthy Again movement. And so that's kind of like introduction to Jessica. And she was, you could always see her on Mar-a-Lago. She has a lot of access to the Trump administration. And she was documenting the entire election, which was great. But recently, there has been a little bit of controversy with her and Candace Owens. So as you guys know, Candace Owens, no longer part of the Daily Wire, completely independent. And I think since going independent, she has only gotten bigger and stronger and better. And she obviously had a fallout. She talks a lot about Jewish influence in Israel. And, people don't like that. So it's kind of like she left the Daily Wire or, got fired, but her audience is bigger. She has kind of transcended politics, and even liberals tune into her show because she covers things like the Bridget Macron being potentially, allegedly a man. She also covers the Justin Baldoni, Blake Lively, what's going on lawsuit for that movie. I really don't care about celebrity gossip that much. So this week, we find out that Jessica Krause, House Inhabit, was going to have a hit piece, or had a hit piece, against Candace Owens on her Substack. And in this Substack, she talks about Candace Owens, her husband and her being close to the Tate brothers, and how Candace Owens's Harvey Weinstein, series that she's doing is kind of messed up from a women's perspective, and how she covered the Harvey Weinstein, and how people are not covering, copying her style of celebrity gossip. So that's what is going on right now. Let me introduce Bella. 1 second.
Hi.
Okay.
I'm in this room across from you. Hi, guys.
Hi.
I got in my car and the lights were on. But here I am now. Hi.
So
I missed I missed everything imploding, but here we are now. With a topic. Linda and I today, I was the Harry Sisson thing was really kind of what ticked me off, because I'm just watching this poor guy get obliterated by conservatives for just being a 20-something-year-old guy, right?
Mhm.
Like, you're this idea that because he had, I don't know what it is that they expect young men to do if it's not to have several, at that age. It's something
Yeah.
normal that would happen at that age.
Yeah. Well, I want to finish this house and habit thing because I think it's kind of like a lot of people want to
Yeah.
talk about that, and then we can get into the Harry Sisson thing. But look, I met Jessica last week in LA. I don't think she gave me the best impression, to be honest with you. And she had a hit piece on back in November something, which I told Bella about. This was when Trump, Don Jr., and uh, they all went to the UFC fight in Vegas, I think. And Kennedy was there. They took the plane. That's when the famous picture of all of them eating McDonald's on Air Force One kind of went viral. And I was very disappointed when I read House and Habit's Substack about, the Republican Party being so manly and so masculine. And this was like a bro show. And this was, and I felt just very feminist to me. And that's kind of like what was defeated at the ballot box, right? Like, men don't want to support the Democratic Party because they're constantly scolded by these annoying women like Elizabeth Warren and AOC and all of the other Black Democratic women who are talking about how, just walk a mile in our shoes, it's so hard, and you can't be masculine, you have to support abortion rights. So I was kind of turned off by that article because I think that we don't, that type of ideology, that feminist ideology, is not something that we need on the right. There's obviously, Trump is very pro women. He has a lot of women working for his administration. He's shown, support for women when it comes to the gender ideology issues and men being in women's sports and women bathrooms and women's spaces. However, the boys going to a UFC fight is not a big deal, or you should not have contempt for that and want to say that I'm going to write a whole Substack about it. And that's what happened with Candace. She writes a whole new Substack attacking her and her husband for being too close to Andrew and Tristan Tate. She is attacking Tucker Carlson because Tucker Carlson is now kind of like a contrarian, and also talking about influence and Israel influence and topics which typically normally the conservatives and Republicans are not very fond of. And one of the things that really bothered Candace was that Jessica was asking her audience in a way not to watch her Harvey series. So currently, Candace Owens has the Harvey Speaks, in which she is kind of showing how Harvey is innocent, at least of rape and certain, convictions that he has. And this is because she's going back and forth with what happened at the court, how biased it was, what the judge said, how even women who didn't accuse him of anything were allowed to go into the courtroom and just talk bad about him. How, there's all these emails that she's reading from the alleged victims, and these victims, after allegedly he raped them, were very comfortable with traveling with him, with asking for tickets for stuff. And so that, Jessica, House and Habit, she took that kind of personal because she has a personal relationship with Jessica Mann, who's one of the victims of, or alleged victims of, Harvey Weinstein. And Jessica actually lived with this woman. I don't know if it was for a few days, a few weeks, a few months. She lived with Jessica Mann while they were going through the trial. And so this is kind of personal for her. She also took Ghislaine Maxwell's side in a way, because she is a feminist. She is a white liberal feminist from LA. And she said that it wasn't fair that Ghislaine Maxwell took all the blame and she's in jail. Well, obviously, Epstein's dead, right? And all of the other powerful men are not in jail, right? Whoever else is involved in this case. So she has a free Ghislaine Maxwell t-shirt, which has been very controversial. Laura Loomer called her out on it. And, I think that her saying that people want to copy her style because she's now into celebrity gossip, it's very petty. I thought it was very petty also and distasteful when she said, you know, Candace, I can't talk to you right now. I'm busy. I'm shadowing the president. You're not shadowing the president. You're at an event. I've been invited to events during the first Trump White House. I've been invited to the White House for events, and you're not shadowing the president. You're there as an attendee, as a guest. So that was kind of, you know, very elitist on her behalf. And I think that that's kind of like what we got away from, right? So Bella and I, and she can talk about this, we were once Democrats too, right? Not the crazy Democrats, but that's why we left the party. However, you know, extreme feminism, trying to shit on men because they're too masculine and they're going to a UFC fight, or even trying to minimize somebody's work like Candace Owens, who's obviously great, and others, is just not really up my alley like that. You know?
Well, I think that part of what we've discussed with her is that she seemingly came out of nowhere, right? She wasn't she hasn't been around for a long time. So one would say that she woke up later on, right? Like she's a post 2020, really. Right. Post 2021, post 2020. Like these were years where there was a lot of things happening. So this isn't 2016, 2018, 2020, not even 2021, 2022. This is somebody that kind of came around during 2023. And you know, she's gained access rather quickly to Trump's you know, around surroundings, which is great for her. I think that that's fantastic. I don't, you know, you and I talk about it all the time. We're not in a position to hate on people that are more successful than we are. However, it does seem like she's got a very pompous attitude about the entire thing, where you know, like, oh, I've been working at this for so long and I'm not getting X amount of credit. It's like, ma'am, you've been at this for maybe a year and a half. There's people who have dedicated their entire lives to this.
Well, let me pause for 1 second. She just became a Trump supporter after Kennedy endorsed Trump. So that's like, I don't even think a year ago.
Right. So, I mean, which makes it even more, I don't know, I guess it is just like, isn't there like a certain level of respect that you'd expect to have for the people that came before you and the people that have been around before you, especially somebody like Candace, especially somebody like Laura Loomer, individuals that have just been around that circle significantly more than you have contributed significantly more, and don't feel as entitled about what it is that they're owed from the administration or Trump supporters or so on and so forth. And I agree with what you said. That tweet today, well, the post that she made today or yesterday about shadowing the president.
Yeah, that was very, it was a story actually. Yeah.
You're not shadowing the president. That's not how any of that works.
Right. So, you know, I was really impressed last year when I met Michael Knowles. We actually met Michael Knowles at Mar-a-Lago at a Catholic event a year ago. And he just left, like, there's some people that leave like a very positive experience. And you just think, man, like this famous person or somebody that's like as well known, as respected as him, he's so nice, so humble, so charming, so friendly, talking to us like we knew each other. And I've met like DC Drano, someone else that if you met him, he has 2.5 million followers. He's very popular and he's very humble, down to earth. Seen him at events, just saw him in Arizona. He's down there, you know, eating McDonald's or Starbucks with us. And I think that there's some of these new influencers, right? Especially within the MAHA community. Like, I'm not very fond of this like MAHA community, like at all. I think it's really like an ecosystem of these liberals who just, you know, they don't like vaccines. They like to eat at very expensive places like Erewhon. And I was just making fun of Erewhon today in LA, and they want to be healthy, which is great, but they don't have conservative values, right? And they don't necessarily align with I
wouldn't necessarily say that the way to describe it is that they don't have conservative values. I think that these are people that want to impose the same frame of existence that you know, the victimization, the social justice causes, the oppression Olympics that are highlighted by the left, because they haven't really had any time to transition you know, into an organic way of like, oh, I truly support Donald Trump now because I'm realizing that I've adopted more conservative thoughts. That's not what it is. They're just kind of like defaulted into this movement as a result of the RFK endorsement, but they bring somebody like her brings a lot of that ideology. It's why we see so much of her content is like feminist, third wave feminist centric,
Yeah.
where she hates on the boys club, which, by the way, the boys club it has been constituted so often into being the avenue that the different avenue that Trump chose,
Yeah.
that helped win him the election, by doing the bro circuit, by going to the UFC fights, by doing Joe Rogan, so to be critical of that. And you know what, when you read the articles, because I've read both. I read the one of her being upset about the UFC fight and it not being inclusive enough for women. And then I read the one about Candace, and the energy with both is just territorial, if you will.
Yeah.
Like, I've created this
Yeah.
space. I don't want anybody else in this space. Or this space should matter more than others, and here's why. And the end result is that she comes off as as potentially problematic. I mean, by the way, it
Well,
was very
the other
problematic.
part of this too is that two of her friends, Emily, I don't know her last name right now, but she goes as Green Girl. She has an account in which she used to archive all of Kanye's posts, and that's how she kind of got her start on social media. And then she became a writer of House and Habit, and apparently she was the one that was very set on writing a hit piece against Candace Owens, which is this is the other part of this tea. Because she was going to write about Candace Owens and her connection to Andrew Tate, etc. And then she also has a best friend, House and Habit, Denise something. I don't know this woman, but apparently they're not friends anymore. And House and Habit had a very nasty post about her so-called best friend that doesn't work with her anymore, Denise, saying that out of respect for her children, she wasn't going to talk about her, but she needed an intervention, etc. So now, we come out to see that she's having problems, not just with people in big platforms in the media, like Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson as well, and also Ian Carroll, but her own team, right?
Right.
And the Emily girl apologized to Candace Owens. I guess they had a conversation, they clear things up, and she kind of humbled herself, the Emily girl, and said, okay, I really didn't know the full story, I should have done better. And it was exposed that really Meghan McCain, who's really good friends with Jessica Krause, House and Habit, was pushing for this hit piece against Candace Owens. And let me tell you something, if you are on the side of the McCains at this point in time in 2025, MAGA isn't very fond or friendly of any McCain, living or dead. Like, Meghan McCain isn't someone that Trump supporters are going to be they don't care about her. People troll this woman every single day, so I think that she needs to read the room and the temperature. She needs to assess that, because this liberal attitude of LA, which I completely dislike. I was just there last week, and it's just not for me. I'd rather deal with the fake Miami people. It's a turnoff. And I think if you go to her comments, you're going to see how much backlash she's getting, because a lot of people stand with Candace,
Yeah, I mean, Candace has again earned her keep, right? She's been around a long time. She's built a platform for herself by putting out real content. People respect her. You can't just say like, oh, I'm not going to listen to Candace's piece on Harvey Weinstein, which, by the way, has been fascinating to watch for very much the topic at hand. Because as you're watching it, you're almost, it's almost cringy to watch it, because you understand that it's like, wow, like, out of all of the things that they could have possibly gotten this guy for, out of all of the rumors that you hear in Hollywood that he was responsible for abusing XYZ many women, yada, 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 how is this the case that did him in? And when you're listening to the details, you almost, you can feel icky about it, but there's a lot of things that don't make sense about the case.
Especially because she exposes conversations between the women who were allegedly raped by this man, but then they keep a relationship with him. Come meet my mom was one of them. You can see my genes, or how it. The other one was like, my kitty needs feeding. What kitty are you talking about? You know, is it a real cat? Are you talking about something else?
Yeah,
So
and
there
like, I'm
was
going
a
through a hard
lot of
time,
things that
show up,
Candace,
come over here. And all
yes,
of these are things that allegedly took place after the fact, after you know, you've gone through this, what's supposed to be a very traumatic moment. And after that thought, you know, if your initial reaction isn't like, I need to get as far away from this person for forever, for the rest of my life, or the only proximity that I would have with them is to some degree hold them accountable
yeah,
for the hurt that they've caused me. It's very weird. It's very, very weird when you start seeing this black and white proof that's out there, all of these emails that show that this woman felt very comfortable with him until she could no longer extort certain materialistic benefits out of that relationship.
yeah.
And you know, I think it segues into the conversation for today, which is that so often, you know, for a very long time, we've been told believe all women, but so often we've watched that time and time again be taken advantage of. And you can see somebody is, we can agree that Harvey Weinstein is like a slimy guy, and also agree that I wish that if they would have gotten him on something, that it would have been something a lot more significant than a woman that just sounds like a scorned ex.
Well, you know, I think the first video that I would like to show here, the first man that we saw this week is dealing with false allegations, is Bryan Johnson. So I talked about him a little bit earlier. Bryan Johnson is a biohacking personality influencer. He's basically kind of showing the world how he is going to reverse an age, and I don't know, he's kind of weird. I think he looks like shit, but what do I know? So this week, actually, when I was at the gym,
You
Bella
have the
tells me,
videos because I can pull them up in the meantime.
I have,
You got it
have
already?
them
Okay.
open, yeah. So, you know, Bella tells me how Bryan Johnson is actually facing allegations from his ex-girlfriend because she claimed in a very, I actually don't have that video. Maybe you have it, the ex-girlfriend one, in a very sad video, that he left her while, you know, she had just been diagnosed with cancer, and, you know, he wasn't there for her. And this is so sad. This is such a sad situation. So Bryan, who, by the way, I do think he's a nice guy. Like, I can just tell by
You
his
can
attitude
tell.
that he's like a nice guy. He comes out with his own 5-minute video debunking every single claim. Like, he shows it, and then he's like, okay, like, this is actually what happened.
Let's I
when she
think that
got
I can
cancer,
actually
and
pull
now
up
the New York. So my ex says that I dumped her when she got cancer, and now the New York Times is preparing a hit piece based upon her stories. I'm going to tell you what really happened. She began harassing me 5 years ago after we broke up. She demanded that I pay her $9 million, or else she would say horrible things about me publicly. I knew the allegations were false, and I would not cave to this dark and twisted practice.
Let me fast
then
forward
came out
this
to
a
me
little bit, because then he goes on to say
and
how
show you
she's
evidence. You
weaponizing.
decide. Pay close attention to the clip she uses.
This is her video. Very sad.
She starts her reel in July of 2019. She was diagnosed with cancer in May of 2019, and I supported her through the entirety of her cancer treatment. Here's a picture of us together on the first day she received treatment in June. In her reel, she claims that I abandoned her during her treatment in October of 2019. Notice the date, it's October 22nd, 2019, and that she's wearing a pink top. This was from her surgery, I know, because I was there. Here is another clip from her reel with the same pink top.
And I feel pretty good.
Remember anything the nurses said to you?
No.
Here's another clip from the reel. In the raw footage, she explicitly acknowledges my presence.
They're done. Just waiting on Bryan to come back.
A reminder, she claimed.
By the way, he cooked her with this.
Yeah.
No, like, he absolutely cooked her with
in
this.
the nicest way possible, too.
Dropping the raw footage with her acknowledging him, sending him a voice note. Like, it wasn't just like out of context. he's an active part of every clip that she posted to create the sob story.
That she was suddenly alone. She also includes this clip in her reel. Here is the raw footage.
Where are you going, Taryn?
Going to the bar.
That was October 2019, 5 months after her diagnosis. To prove that I was there through her entire treatment, here is more evidence. Here is us in January 2020, 2 months later. Again, her allegation is that I abandoned her when she got cancer. So the evidence unmistakably shows I was by her side through the entirety of her treatment, from diagnosis to the very end.
This is the best
I
part.
intensely loved her and desperately wanted her to live. When it came time for her bell ringing ceremony, the moment which marks the end of her cancer treatment, she invited one person. Today is Taryn's last day of radiation, and we have her bell ceremony. So she's doing...
Did you bring the flowers? No, that one brought the flowers. He gets to ring the bell too once because he was.
Can we do it together?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Hand in hand. Ring the bell.
Okay.
It's your bell ring. Here, I'll just hold on to your arm. It's okay.
Even after her cancer treatment,
I'm gonna pause it there. I mean, if you've never had somebody, known somebody that's like struggled with cancer, then you don't understand the significance of that moment. But ringing the bell is a really powerful moment. People break out into tears. It signifies the end of your treatment. They've done your testing. You're now cancer-free after your diagnosis, and it's a really emotional moment. So when he first said like none of this is true, I'm like, well, I want to see, were you there for the bell ringing ceremony? And the fact that he dropped that and was able to completely, and now the worst part of this video though for me is that this has been going on for 5 years.
Well, yeah. And also the worst part of this video is that at some point he talks about how she asked him for money. And at first it was like 100 and something thousand. And then that turned into another number. And now it's $9 million. And again, this is why a lot of, especially rich men, we've seen it, right? This is why the Manosphere took off. And we've been critics of some of the Manosphere stuff because it's sensationalism. And a lot of it just is there for degrading and hating on women. But they're not wrong when it comes to protecting yourselves, because very easily people just believe women without proof, without anything. And a lot of the times they not only weaponize these false allegations against men, but they go to the court, family court, to put restraining orders on men, to red flag law them, and really screw them up. Because that record is always going to be there. Okay.
Well, I mean, especially in the case of somebody like that, that's a public figure. Like he says it at the end of this video, how your reputation is the only thing that you have, and it's the most valuable thing that you have, and how he felt like, I didn't want to address it, but I'm being forced to address it because here you are slandering me. And you know what? I think that it's really easy for somebody that's never been in that position to be like, well, like if it's not true, then like why is it important? Or like you don't really have to address it, or like who cares, or whatever it is. But these you have no idea what it's like to have somebody be so persistent or insistent.
Yes.
Persistent and insistent on making your sole purpose trying to damage your reputation, trying to damage people's perception of you, and the desperation that because they become so desperate with trying to ruin your life that it becomes excessively worse. So the more that you ignore it, the more obsessive it in fact becomes in an effort to try and gain that energetic exchange, and that energetic exchange back. Right. So it's just my concern is that it's like they don't even care that they get shot. You think that she didn't know that he had all of this footage in order to be able to
No, but she willingly lied, which is, by the way, he says that she's lost in court, I think twice already against them. So this already has gone to court and for defamation, I believe, and she's lost. So in able to prove defamation, you need to prove malice. And you need to prove intent, right? So that the person was, willingly and knowingly lying about you, or and if they didn't know, they didn't care to correct it, and they knew that was cost reputational damage, which is also the case that I talked about with Cardi B. For those of you who don't know, Cardi B won a $4 million defamation lawsuit against a YouTuber, Tasha K. Almost unheard of because Cardi B is a worldwide famous superstar, and the threshold to prove to prove defamation for somebody of that caliber is very hard, very, very difficult, very high, just like an elected official. So basically, when she told Tasha K plenty of times, cease and desist, cease and desist. Tasha K had been slandering Cardi B, saying that her children were born with, like, I don't know, Down syndrome or something from the drug use, that she was a prostitute, that she had herpes, that she used drugs, that she would engage in orgies, like all these things that were false. And Cardi ended up winning this lawsuit and setting a legal precedent, right? I talked about this on Twitter. People didn't like it. I said, this is why and how I think the Tate brothers may be able to win their case against all these different ex-users, some of them anonymous, some of them not, who have slandered them through the years. People said, oh, no, you're wrong, and you're wrong because they are guilty. But I said, okay, they're guilty. How are they guilty? Because they said something on video that you don't like, or because you actually know that they broke the law, right? So we'll see how that turns out. But, I wanted to show this video of Neymar. This, for those of you who don't know, Neymar is a Brazilian superstar, soccer star, and he was accused of rape, or women accused him of rape back in like 2018, 2019. And the reason why Neymar was able to save himself was because he had a camera in the hotel room where the alleged act took place. So I'm going to share my screen to show you guys this video. By the way, the women who accused him of rape was actually charged with bribery, I think, and something else. Like, she was actually held accountable in Brazil. But if it wasn't because Neymar had this video, he would have been charged and convicted of rape for a false allegation. Watch this. Share screen. Can you guys see this?
Wait,
hold on. Can I share it? Oh, hold on. At this page. I'll start in a little bit. It gets crazy. Just watch. Look at that. Yeah. So if it wasn't because he had that camera in the living room of the hotel, he would have been screwed and completely charged with rape. And this is, by the way, in 2019, the same thing happened to Cristiano Ronaldo. I forgot what happened to that case, but he was also accused of raping a woman. I think it was actually here in the United States, and that went nowhere. But that does affect your reputation, because there's always going to be women and people that will believe those allegations, even if they're proven false in court. You have President Trump.
That's part of the problem, right? That especially when you're a public figure, once that's out there, it's out there. Right. There is no taking it back.
Right. I mean, with the case of President Trump, he just won $50 million settlement for defamation with ABC News, because George Stephanopoulos decided to say that President Trump raped a woman, raped E. Jean Carroll. That never happened. He was found in civil court. I forgot exactly what he was found guilty of, but it wasn't rape or sexual assault. And because he said that, the president sued, and now they settled for $50 million. So, especially if you have money, in my opinion, these men are going to have to start getting like waivers signed off for consent, or potentially I don't know, covering your bases and having cameras like that, because honestly,
Well, I
you
mean,
just
even
can't
with
trust
a
women.
waiver like that, right? Because they claim that you can pull consent in the middle of the act. So you can have signed the waiver and then pulled consent in the middle of the act, which again, this goes back to this kind of mentality that has like overtaken, where it's like believe all women into almost like absurd situations. Not to take away from the importance of this case, but I go back to the Harry Sisson case, where now, and of course, this is the ecosystem that they've created for themselves. So this is an issue where they feel that this is worth talking about, because amongst themselves, everybody has to be, women are always the victim, right? But to me, it's like, this kid is getting such a harsh thing for maintaining relationships. A lot of the girls that came out, they said like, oh, well, we weren't official. So they understood they weren't official. Maybe they weren't entirely sure if they were exclusive or not, but they knew that they weren't necessarily official. This guy's young. He's not married. He's not some like trad con LARPer online making pretend that this is his ideology. If women send nudes, women are sending nudes. I don't understand how it is that you can necessarily be like coerced into that. Like, if you're not responsible enough and you don't understand that, like, once you put something like that out there, it's out there. I just have a really hard time accepting that both the left and the right have come after this guy, trying to ruin this kid's life, who's only 20 something years old.
Sarah Fields has been the worst. Sarah Fields, she's like an investigative journalist
the one in
on
Texas,
the right,
yeah.
total feminist. And she has actually been the worst person, because she called him a predator in a way. This is a kid that's 23 years old. And, a lot of women, when I said that, I had all these women saying, oh, how are you defending a cheater? First of all, most people cheat. Like, I hate to break it down to you guys. It's not ideal. I don't support it, but it's not defending a cheater. He's a 23-year-old man. I was in a sorority in college. My friends who were broke in college and were normal people had a roster of women. I mean, this is super common. You may not like it. You may think hookup culture is gross, but he's not only young, he's famous and rich. Like, you're a 23-year-old, 2 million followers on TikTok. I'm shocked there's not more than 11 women. Apparently, this was just 11 women. It's probably indecent and immoral to lie to people, but it's not illegal, and it's definitely not predator-like behavior. Like, how do you this is the thing.
It's just really ugly to see the general public smear him so quickly as a predator, as an abuser for doing it. It really waters down true threats to women, coming across a cheater. It's like, it's unfortunate. But I feel like every woman is going to encounter a guy that like cheats or talks to many women. Like, that's just like a fact of life. As you were saying, this isn't a write home about, let's cancel this guy, destroy his reputation, as it seemed like, I mean, I guess even the right has some degree of like, maybe like out of the political disagreement alone, they felt like, oh, this is a great opportunity to go after him. But to watch people on his side try and cancel him over this, it's just really it's really eye-opening that men really do not have a safe space on the left. Democrats do not offer a safe space for young men to just be men. You can tell Harry like, hey, maybe that wasn't the best. And I do have like, I don't know if I should play his video response where he says, hey, I probably could have handled that better. But there's no need. I'm not a predator. Like, they don't need to sabotage my entire reputation as a result of, women being upset. And let me see if I can actually pull this up right now. I think it's loading right now.
I saw that he apologized and he's like, oh, this is very, high school drama. I also think it's kind of, what was the tweet that I saw about? Oh, I will say this. The reason why conservatives, right, are kind of dumping on this guy is because he has been a women rights defender. So there is a tweet of him talking about people that voted for Donald Trump, voted against women. against our sisters, against our mothers, against our daughters. After Donald Trump won, he had a TikTok go viral talking about how disappointed he was because people voted for Trump, you know, against women, against our sisters, etc. So I think some of the people who are not calling him a predator were just calling him out on his grift. Like, hey, dude, like you come off as this super male feminist who defends women, cares about women's rights, but also you want to just fuck around with different women. So which one is it? I don't think they're mutually exclusive, to be honest.
I don't think they're exclusive either. I think that you
can
can
be a Democrat who supports abortion, who supports women rights, but also you could be a player, especially if you have money and you're young. So I don't think they're mutually exclusive.
Well, but this goes back to a lot of the same ideology from the left that has turned off young men. It's why Donald Trump had record-breaking support from that 18 through 25 bracket of young men that showed up to vote for him, which is a group of voters that had never been mobilized, period. Like, forget being mobilized for Democrats. They just had not been mobilized before. And I think that it's very much like you and I have talked about it. I think it's even like on our first pin show, how you don't abandon the party abandons you. So imagine somebody like Harry now. I mean, he's in a position of like influence and he's making money off of this, so he's not going to change. But imagine just being a regular person holding that ideology, not being a predator, not being a creep. You're just a guy who like wanted to talk to a lot of girls at the same time. You're not even dating a lot of girls at the same time. You're just talking to a lot of girls at the same time. And now you're being compared to the likes of like an Andrew Tate or like Weinstein or like one of these like major creeps as a result that they think that you should have. And I just feel like it's a bit excessive, and it's always that kind of like all or nothing mentality that has been adapted by the left that really turns people off and makes people walk away because they feel like the party has abandoned me.
Yeah. You know, I wanted to actually talk about another lying woman this morning or yesterday, Lila Rose, for those of you who are pro-lifers and really like her content. I genuinely can't stand this woman. And I want to bring her up because it shows not just her hypocrisy. Like Lila Rose last week had a podcast with a lawyer who represents one of the alleged victims of the Tate brothers, right? She's always talking shit about men. She had this like head thing, like butting heads with Jay Waller, who's another Manosphere influencer. I don't care about any of this men, but you know what I do care? When you preach Christian values and you talk about how this is the word of God says not to lie, yet this is what Lila Rose did yesterday. Hold on one second. Not this one. Alrighty then. So in this tweet, she says, breaking, Trump's DOJ and the Florida AG James Othmeyer has used the FACE Act to convict 4 abortion activists who vandalized pro-life pregnancy centers. They were fined up to $13,000 each, banned within 100 feet of 7 centers for 10 years in order to apologize to the facilities. Okay. That didn't happen. And that didn't happen because that case happened. Those people were convicted during the Biden administration. And we know that personally because that case was here in Miami. And we helped identify one of the perpetrators to Heartbeat of Miami, which is one of the images that you see there. So this woman, I don't understand how somebody can make up such a big fucking lie. Like
Othmeyer's only been in office for a couple of weeks. This was last year. Ashley Moody was very much the attorney general at that time. It was under the Biden administration. It was Biden's DOJ that did this. It was actually very blatant. It was actually very blatant, which was even more because, you know, Linda, I didn't go in to check. Had she posted about this before? Like, had she posted about Caleb's conviction when it actually happened?
Yes, she has. She posted when they went to jail, when they got convicted. This is why the lie, it makes it a bigger lie because she's posted about this before. You know where else you could see this? On liveorg.com, that whatever, in her website, which is absurd that she would lie. Like, oh my God, I just can't stand that woman. She lied about Trump too during the election. These very good Christian women influencers, not for me, not my style. I know they're very popular amongst you guys and conservatives, Not for me. She's a fucking liar. Clickbait completely. And she not only posted it there, but she posted it on YouTube too, because I followed her there and I saw it. Anyways, new allegations. We're going to talk a little bit about Andrew Tate. We're 48 minutes in, and I want to wrap up like at an hour. But new allegations have come forward against Andrew Tate, and the allegations come from one of his girlfriends, right? He says that he has multiple women. He's not faithful to one woman. The girl, I guess she's an American, and they met. She put out a statement, which I'll read to you now, but TMZ reported that during sex, I guess, at the Beverly Hills Hotel back in March 11th, Andrew Tate beat her, or they had rough sex. And, you know, then she went to the cops and filed this whole report for potential like sexual battery. And then she went to TMZ and she sold pictures of what it looked like. Honestly, to me, it looked like bruises from fillers. It wasn't really bruises. Really, we can look at that. But, you know, now I think.
Do you have the post to bring up?
I have what she just.
Can you pull it up? Because I want to point out something that stuck out to me about the post. Do you have the post with the screenshots that she posted?
No, I have this. Hold on, let me show you.
I've got it. Let me get my stuff together. I've got it for sure, because there was something that stuck out to me about the screenshots of the text messages. You know, I just feel like
they were clearly having like rough sex, which, you know, no, it's not this one. Hold on.
Here, I'm gonna send this to you so that you can start it up.
This is what she posted today, actually. I don't know if you guys can see it, but this is her statement about the inquiries of the lawsuit that she filed against Andrew Tate. It's pretty pathetic. I can barely read it. It says, "My name is Bree Stern. I'm from Los Angeles, California. I met Andrew Tate in the summer of 2024. Honestly, I can't. This is very small, like font, the way that I see it. But she basically goes on to say, here, I have this up. Hold on one second.
Did you get the one that I sent to you?
In summer 2024, we were in a relationship for almost a year. We met because he needed models for his crypto coin, and I need lessons on crypto to save my coin sister, I guess. We spend as much time together. So she goes on to like this entire story about that she still loves him despite what he has hurt her so badly. And I love him. And the last time she saw him was at the Beverly Hills Hotel. And then, you know, after that, she realized that she had to leave him because he's not a good guy. And, you know, this has been very difficult and scary for her, which is, you know, I think the craziest thing is that if you guys look at that, you know, at that post, which I'll share here again, at the very end, she actually like shares like this picture of him and her, and it just, the whole thing seems fucking.
Can you pull up the link that I sent you to the tweet with her text on them, please?
Yeah, hold on,
because I want to show you something that stood out to me.
Yes, hold on.
I want to see if you guys pick up on the same thing that I pick up on here, right? Okay. So scroll fast. Okay, so first and foremost, do you see how the screenshots are different?
There's three. The colors are different, right?
So, and that made me think these are conversations happening maybe across different apps or at different times where she's changed maybe the background of her phone in order for it to look different. But I don't feel like the screenshots are taken from the same conversation. It looks like one of them, you know, one of them is even a little clear. Now, why do I bring that up, right? Mm-hmm. If you look at this first screenshot, you see how it says March 9, and then it says you back talk too much, back much, so I beat you. I will hit you today, but I love you. And then she writes, why the name calling? And he writes, do you understand? And she's like, I'm scared. He writes, don't care. Do you understand? She writes, yes. Why the hitting, sad face? And he's like, do you belong to me or not? That right there tells me like there's no like, hey, I'm serious, stop. I don't like this game. This isn't fun for me. I don't appreciate this behavior. This is her engaging with this. This almost looks like a kind of role play. But wait, can you bring up the text messages up again? Because I want to show something.
Yeah, the second one or this one?
So let's look at put the next one that comes after that with the different background. Now it says, because I want to beat the hell out of the fuck out of you. You will give me a child this year, bitch. What do you want? Okay, anyways, irrelevant, because what I want you to key in on is you see the timestamp on it, how it says 5 minute, 4 minute, 1 minute, and you see that, right? That tells me that as the conversations are happening, she's record keeping. Go to the next one.
No, these are these are the only two, or the one before, you mean?
There's 3 actually. Go down one more.
Oh, there okay. And then it's
there you go. You see how it says 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute now? This sets off alarms in my head, right? Because let's say that something super traumatic happened to me. I'm with my boyfriend. This is her boyfriend, right? She's got a standing relationship with Andrew Tate. I'm going to go hang out with my man. I have no reason to expect anything weird out of this. And then, we go out, we have this incident, and he gets out of hand and, he chokes me, whatever unfortunate circumstance. Now I'm going back to be like, damn, I should have seen it sooner. This guy, look at all this history of text messages that I have where he's talked to me about hitting me. You go back to those text messages and what is it going to say? It's going to look like it's going to go back to looking something like these other messages, right? Hold on. Let me pull these up. Can you pull them up, Linda, on your screen? Just to the first one. You go back and you scroll on your phone right now and you try to find text messages from 2 weeks ago, and it's going to look like this. It's going to tell you the timestamp, the date at the top, the timestamp and the date at the top of when that conversation was taking place. The fact that screenshot says taken 1 minute after the message was sent, taken 2 minutes after the message was sent, taken 4 minutes across the message was sent, and it looks like they're different conversations because they're happening across different platforms. What that tells me is she was record keeping. She was with him. She knew that he was a violent person. She started record keeping these things, that as soon as he would say something about hitting her, she would screenshot it at that moment. It wasn't something that she went back to and then recorded. She was screenshotting it right at that moment. So was she leading that conversation in any way?
She flew
that I'm making to you, that if you're going back and you're like, well, shit, now I want to go back and see what were the conversations that I had with this guy and all of the times that he suggested to hit me. You go back, you do a search. Now you got to go back. It's going to say 9:35, The fact that screenshot says 1 minute, that means that she's taking the screenshot live as it's coming in, which means she's record keeping. Why are you record keeping on somebody that you're in a relationship with?
Yeah.
Why would you record keep on a friend? Why would you record keep on somebody that you have a good relationship with? The timing of this is suspect.
Also, you've had sex with this guy multiple times. And hold on a second. Why is there no accountability for women ever? You've heard this guy allegedly hits women. You've seen his videos that are popular all over social media. You know that he has charges in Romania for human trafficking, allegedly, for rape, allegedly, for whatever the hell is going on. I mean, this is a very controversial person. Yet you still choose to fly to Romania multiple times to go have sex with this man, to go enjoy time with this man. And you want us to feel bad for you because sex got a little bit too rough?
I just don't know if I necessarily believe the allegations, because it's just like you're clearly in the know that this is how this person engages in intercourse. Number one, this is publicly available. This is public. This isn't like something that you figure out once it's already too late. You're in the bedroom. This guy's very public about this. So you know that. And then again, it seems like there's several instances where he's talking to you in this way. I'm sorry, but I don't make pretend to know what's going on in relationships. There's plenty of people that are into stuff like this.
There's couples that are into orgies, into pegging the man. There's a BDSM. I mean, there's all sorts of
she's clearly into it to some capacity, because this message is from March 9 and she claims that it happened in March 11.
Yeah.
So How scared were you? How and she's talking the way that he's talking about it and that they're talking about it. It's like, this has happened before. This is behavior that they've engaged in before. So why is it a problem now? And it just seems very again, I'm not a Tate fan, neither is Linda, despite what some of the internet has come to terms now for her just speaking the reality of certain things, which is that the person who pressed charges against Tate is anonymous in a lawsuit, meaning that they cannot mention them. This is the person that has had articles written about them, but that's neither here nor there. I just think that it's very convenient that it's this girlfriend that he's had for a very long time, who's clearly experienced this kind of behavior many times before. It's only problematic once he's here in the States. Once you know the persecution is like going on or whatnot. I find that very suspect. I find the screenshots and the fact that she started record keeping significantly problematic, because it tells me your intentions were not good from the beginning. If you're going back, your screenshots don't look like that. You're cataloging, you're like, shoot, this is maybe something I should have seen before.
I actually agree with this comment. The broads are just mad that Andrew doesn't want to give him full commitment. They're mad he became famous and rich, and they don't want to. They don't get to come along for the ride. They're fooling anybody. I actually agree with that. Like, you know, he has been very open about not being monogamous, about never marrying somebody, about having multiple baby mamas who he has multiple children with. He has stated that he wants to continue to reproduce with as many women as possible, openly, daily, especially, well, on X mostly, because I don't think he's allowed anywhere else. Yet you choose to date this man.
And travel with him overseas and continue to engage with him, despite the fact that he's telling you, this is what I want to beat you, I want to have a baby with you, and you're just like, oh, mean words, sad face. Like, I you know, if you really don't want to be in that situation, you really don't have to. There was another case that came up of a young woman who flew out to Dubai, and I guess that she was found like beaten to like death or to a pulp or whatever it is. And I got a little bit of pushback because I wrote in the comments, I'm like, well, this is actually pretty easy to avoid. Don't get on an airplane to go meet some random stranger in Dubai, in a country that has zero respect for women.
Yeah,
that's a good place, a good place to start. And you know, a lot of the times you'll have people, usually people that just hate us are like, well, are you victim blaming? Well, I mean, it's not about victim blaming, but it is about accountability on either side. And what accountability do you have as a woman to not put yourself in a predicament where you are made a victim of? Like, forget whether or not the guy, I mean, I guess that to me, like, I just don't understand, because I don't want to get attacked. And I understand that there's certain circumstances that you can control that in, but I don't pump gas in a gas station where women are more likely to get attacked than in any other position at midnight. I pumped gas earlier. It's why I was late, because I had to pump gas because all the lights were on, and I'm not going to pump gas at 1 a.m. when it's scary, or when after me and Linda are done doing our thing. So I just, to me, the lack of accountability from women by putting themselves in positions where they should know what to expect. You should know what to expect if you're going to bed with a guy like Andrew Tate, where there's literal videos of him letting you know how it is that he engages, and then crying victim about that same kind, because it's not even like something different. Like, it's like, oh, well, he choked me during. It's like, yeah, that's kind of what I would have expected for it to look like for you.
Yeah. Well, and you know, we talked about it a long time ago when it comes to men also, and the women that they choose to engage in. Andrew Tate had a pretty long kind of like black-pilling doom and gloom tweet a few weeks ago when he was in Miami, saying like, oh, like cities are all just full of like whores and women that want your money, yada, yada, yada. And women are all the worst, and women just want your stuff. Look at the type of women that you have sex with. Like, you continue to be in trouble with women, whether some allegations are true, others are false, whatever. We'll see how that plays out. But you continue to engage with women who, just by the looks of them, are very materialistic. Very materialistic.
Well, this is something that we've talked about several
they
times.
Look like whores. Like these.
When it comes to this
I went
topic,
to this girl's Instagram. She looks like a whore. She looks like a typical Miami whore.
You and I have talked about this plenty on podcasts before, where we talk like, when you lead with your money, your influence, your power, your ability, your private jets, your Maseratis, who do you think you're attracting? There's plenty of skinny, tall, Slavic, beautiful women that are not into that lifestyle that a person like Andrew Tate will never have access to, because as we've discussed many times, it's like a class thing. When you lead with the low vibrational stuff, the Maseratis, the private jets, don't be shocked when you find a woman that's very attracted to you because you have a Maserati, because you have a private jet, because you have money, because these are the things that you lead when you're showcasing your value to the world, I feel.
Yeah. I just, and this is the other thing. I understand that to some of you, you say you're a womanizer. The guy, the knight and the bishop, Kevin Samuels, try to explain this endless as time. So I would a high value man that worked like a dog for 2 decades, give full commitment to a woman. What makes you so special as a woman that merits that? You can choose to live your life however you want with 3 women, 4, 5, 16. But the reality is that men who are married in good relationships are not dealing with the type of situations that Andrew Tate is dealing with. And I know that at times spouses do say that they were raped or whatnot, but it's Patrick Brett David dealing with this with his wife, Donald Trump dealt with the Stormy Daniels situation because he decided to step out of his marriage. But you can't, even if you are very black-pilled on relationships, you can't deny that having one wife won't cause this. Right, won't cause the situation.
Right, if you have the one woman, these aren't situations that you put in. I mean, it's also like a numbers game, right? The more women you expose yourself to, the more likely you are to come across a crazy individual. Linda and I are dealing with a circumstance around a certain individual that's completely insane. And one of the jokes that we've kind of like told each other throughout the thing, it's throughout all of this that's been going on, is like when this person first realized that they were going to have issues with us, how funny they must have thought it was, because this person is completely insane and thinking like, haha, I'm the craziest person that has ever existed. Wait until I unleash this degree of craziness on them. And I think that as a man, when you're, or anybody for that matter, the more people, it's strangers or people that you expose yourself to, especially in that very intense energetic exchange that is sleeping with somebody, the more people you expose with yourself, it's just a numbers game. Inevitably, you're going to come across a crazy person. You weren't looking for it. It didn't come off as somebody that was crazy at the beginning. So sleep with 1,000 women, your odds are going to be significantly higher of finding more crazy women amongst those 1,000 than the guy that only has his one wife or his one girlfriend through most of his 30s or 20s or whatever it is.
Right. Speaking of the situation that we have that we don't want to give a lot of attention to, we're dealing with a situation here in Miami of a woman who's a serial harasser and stalker. And we looked into her records before she changed her name with her maiden name. And she has literally taken 15 different people to family court for the same allegations, claiming stalking, claiming domestic violence, claiming assault. Every single case obviously has been dismissed because it's nothing but lies. But this just goes to show you that even the average man can face situations like this,
or the average woman, the
average, even people like
women lying. Evil women lying isn't exclusive to men only. It affects women too. And I think that there's an argument to be made, and I'm sure that there'll be later episodes where we'll talk about this, but it definitely makes the argument for civil court. And civil when reform. Men say that these courts are weighted against them, they very much are. And it's because you need very little evidence to pursue civil liability against somebody. You don't need a lot of proof. You don't get to be charged in the history of your by a jury of your peers. It's just your word against that person's. And very often, if the woman cries enough, if she presents herself, I mean, I wish you guys could see some of the psychotic things that
we have uncovered,
that we've watched people who are women that are blatantly lying,
fucking liars.
The claims that they make. I mean, Linda and I, this lady accused us of wanting to kidnap her children.
Wanting to kidnap her children, who we never met. Like, I'm
We're
just
not
gonna
allowed.
turn into a kidnapper out of nowhere and start like kidnapping children. I mean,
Kidnapping kids. And that's just what she said about us. And of course, what happened when she said it about her ex-boyfriend, who's a guy who maybe had, issues in the past with his record, not violence related, not necessarily or anything, he maybe looks a certain way, whatever it is associated. What do you think happens when a person like that goes to court and she's like, I'm just an innocent mother, I'm just an innocent woman, and
Yeah.
I'm just so small compared to this person? And then they really have the power to ruin lives. So it's unfortunate, but I think that the reality is, and what we wanted to highlight it with the show was really that you should believe I'm going to be real. You should believe no one until, forget just not believing women. You should believe no one until you've seen the proof for yourself, until you've verified the proof for yourself. Sometimes even what you see isn't what it is. So, I'm just, I think that it's a time we saw it with Trump's cabinet, Linda. We saw it with most of the appointments. How many of Trump's appointments hadn't had to deal with some degree of false allegations or nothing? And the problem is that it doesn't matter that the allegations are proven false. They still come up.
Do you remember when they did it to Dave Portnoy? I had a live about it. I forgot about that while I was doing my makeup and remembering this show. I remember that they did a hit piece against Dave Portnoy, who's the founder and owner of Barstools, because he had a roster of women too. And they also did it. I mean, I don't listen to him, but you guys may know Huberman, the guy that's also very into wellness.
Mm-hmm.
He's a very attractive man. I think he's some sort of like MIT or Harvard. I don't know. He's some sort of like, smart person. Talks about biohacking as well and whatnot. And they did it to him too. They did a whole piece about him, almost calling him a predator because they found out that he had multiple girlfriends. So, this kind of like what they did to Harry Sisson. I just want to read some super chats here. Miguel, thank you so much. Literally was just talking about this today with my wife and friends of ours. Love to see you girls back in action. Thank you so much, Miguel. It wasn't a very easy start today. Emery, thank you so much for coming. I know you were working till late. Love you, ladies. To all of your Wisconsin followers, vote Brad Schimmel for Wisconsin Supreme Court on April 1st or early vote until Friday. I know this is off topic from the topics tonight. Very important. This is very important, and I will definitely talk about it tomorrow on X, and I'll post it on my story as well. And then Fairy Princess sent us a super sticker. Thank you so much. And I don't know if Knight and the Bishop, I'm not sure how old you are, but you said women were better in the 1990s. And I think that probably you're just like from a younger generation, because I can tell you that men have been complaining about women being shitty from before that. But women didn't just stop at 1990s and like everybody became shitty. I do think the internet has definitely played a very both positive and negative roles when it, probably more negative for a relationship, positive for other aspects like, alternative media and information finding and whatnot. But, I don't necessarily think that in 1990, just all women turned shitty.
No, I mean, I think that there's definitely things that have changed as far as like expectations and like relationships or whatnot, but also like a lot of technology has opened up a lot of avenues for people to be dishonest. I feel technology has opened up a lot of avenues for that. So you think it's a generational thing, but really it's kind of like the way that we communicate now, right? It's you've got social media, which is such a factor. Being able to like the constant communications or whatnot, which wasn't always the case before. I think that all of that plays a factor. But I agree, women didn't just like start being shitty out of nowhere. Men have complained for women, and evil women have existed since the beginning of time, and men have been willing to throw away their entire lives for evil women since the beginning of time. Also not new.
Well, thank you much for tuning in today. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. We'll let you know next week where we are. Maybe a new studio, maybe home. We'll figure it out. But thank you much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.